Mr. Baey Yam Keng.
Mr. Chairman, the arts, heritage and sports are integral to making Singapore a vibrant and livable city, and for Singaporeans to lead well-rounded and fulfilling lives. They can inspire us, affirm our shared values, and make us proud of what we stand for. They provide opportunities for Singaporeans of all backgrounds to showcase their talents, pursue their dreams, and come together to create shared memories. Our SG Arts Plan, our SG Heritage Plan, and Vision 2030 are roadmaps that provide multi-year directions and guide the development of our sectors. I'll talk about some key focus areas for this year, beginning with the arts and heritage. Mr. Henry Quek asked about our Arts and Culture Strategic Review, ACSR. Since 2012, ACSR has led to an injection of over $350 million into the sector to support community engagement, arts education, and capability development. In the same period, our arts and heritage activities have seen increases in number, variety, and attendance. However, we recognize that our strategies and approaches must be updated to address new developments that have taken place since then. These are reflected in our SG Arts and Heritage Plans, introduced in 2018. They were done in consultation with about 1,500 stakeholders across the public, private, and people sectors. Our SG Arts Plan comprises 3 strategic thrusts: inspiring our people, connecting our communities, and positioning Singapore globally. I will touch on the key initiatives that will support each thrust. To inspire audiences, our artists must be able to produce high quality and impactful work. We will provide capability development platforms for artists across various art forms. One example is in the literary arts. The National Arts Council will partner Nanyang Technological University to introduce the Asia Creative Writing Program later this year. Writers in English, Chinese, Malay, and Tamil will benefit from master classes by international, regional, and local talents. Our writers will also benefit from peer learning and opportunities to build communities across cultures. To support our artists, we will continue the Community Arts Residency Program, which was piloted last year. It aims to reflect the collective stories of our people by providing artists with spaces in the community to develop arts collaboration with residents. Over 4 months in 2018, the residency supported visual artist Terence Lin, who organized house visits, invited residents to his open house, and facilitated art-making sessions with seniors and youths living in and around Taman Jurong. The project culminated in the exhibition of residents' artworks, items, and audio interviews at the Taman Jurong Community Club. From now to 2022, NAC will support as many as 40 artists in various community settings, from void decks to nursing homes, to engage residents in co-creating artworks and telling their stories. It is also important that we help arts practitioners, including our arts freelancers, build sustainable careers. NAC consulted over 370 members of our arts community last year to understand the specific needs of freelancers that will enable them to be more self-sufficient and financially independent, not just during their working life, but prepare them for retirement. To address some of the findings, NAC will establish freelance resource hubs and work with partners to offer shared resources and services. These include insurance coverage, connecting freelancers with relevant service providers, and making available jobs, contracts, and projects, as well as a database of talents and expertise. As part of this effort, NAC will launch an online portal in the second half of 2019, with more services and resources to be introduced progressively. In addition, we would like freelancers to benefit from national schemes such as SkillsFuture to enhance their employability. Earlier, MOM announced that the government, as a service buyer, will pilot the Contribute as you earn model early next year. This will allow for smaller but regular contributions to MediSave instead of bigger lump sums at year-end. MCCY, NAC, and NHB are looking forward to participating in this pilot so that our freelancers can better save for their healthcare. Some people may think that artists create works based on a single moment of inspiration. But in reality, many artworks are based on the deep understanding of the subject matter presented from a well-thought-through perspective. Therefore, NAC will strengthen research support in the arts so that artists can further grow the practice. Research can also help art groups better understand and develop their audiences. In addition, we want to better understand the long-term value and impact of arts engagement on different population segments. NAC will support more research studies in these areas and publish a monthly e-newsletter to share relevant research with the arts community. NAC is also organizing a research symposium next week that brings academics and artists together to discuss the impact of arts on space, people, and communities. The second thrust of our SG Arts Plan seeks to connect diverse arts. Say it again. The second thrust of our SG Arts Plan seeks to connect diverse groups with the arts. One key group is our youth, who are important as arts enthusiasts and practitioners, not only of today, but for the future. The NAC, National Youth Council, and SCAPE will create more platforms for youth to develop and showcase their talents. Last year, diverse music acts from NAC's Noise Singapore performed at NYC's Youth X, thereby reinforcing our youth interests and aspirations in music. NAC and NYC will strengthen the dedicated arts track in Youth X from this year. This will elevate the profile of our young artists and help them grow a larger audience base. NAC will also work with SCAPE under its Arts and Culture Node Network. Our existing nodes enrich and enliven neighborhoods around Singapore through regular and accessible arts programs. SCAPE will be our next node and showcase more art that resonate with young people and give our youth more chances to exhibit their works. For the wider public, our signature showcases such as the Singapore International Festival of the Arts, Singapore Writers' Festival, and Singapore Biennale bring art closer to the community. For example, the 7th edition of the Singapore Art Week in January showcased over 100 diverse programs in venues such as Singapore Art Museum, Gillman Barracks, Little India, and Sim Square. Dr. Lim Wee Kiak, Mr. Satyani, and Mr. Terence Ho spoke about the importance of promoting Singapore's cultural talents overseas. We are proud of our art practitioners who venture overseas. This not only help artists hone their skills and develop new markets, but also showcase Singapore's culture internationally and promote people-to-people links. Over the last 5 years, MCCY and our agencies have supported the participation of more than 1,000 artists and arts groups in over 300 international platforms. We will continue to facilitate such efforts by building our overseas networks. For example, our cultural institutions participate in platforms such as the International Committee for Museums and Collections of Modern Art, Association of Asia Pacific Performing Arts, and the International Society for the Performing Arts ISPA. In addition, MCCY signed cultural cooperation agreements with China and Indonesia in 2018 to deepen and broaden cultural exchanges. In addition, we will emphasize the development of visual arts residencies in Southeast Asia. For example, under NAC's partnership with Chimanti Institute for Art and Society, we will begin sending Singaporean artists for residencies in Yogyakarta, Indonesia, starting from September. NAC is also exploring similar opportunities in the Philippines and Thailand. With a deeper understanding of these vibrant regions' shared heritage and future, our artists will be well placed to produce even more compelling works. We will also support our performing artists in countries such as Australia, China, Japan, the UK, and France. An example is Shaza Ishak, Theatre Ikamatra's General Manager and Company Director, who was funded by NAC to represent Singapore at the prestigious ISPA Fellowship Programme from 2017 to 2019, and the Australian Performing Arts Market in 2018. Arising from this, Theatre Ikamatra, Drama Box, and Australia's PVI Collective are now developing Topia, an international residency exchange program in Singapore and Perth. This will explore experiential theatre making. Mr. Chairman, I will now speak in Mandarin. 我们将竭力为我国文学创作者提供海外的发展机会，这将帮助本地作家磨练写作技巧，把新加坡文学带到国外。譬如，国家艺术理事会和鲁迅文学院签署了长达3年的合作伙伴关系，提供2个驻留机会，让本地文学创作者在文学院进行1个月的交流。鲁迅文学院是中国一所国家级的研究机构，栽培了不少著名作家，如王安忆以及诺贝尔文学奖得主莫言。通过这类国际驻留计划，本地艺术工作者将有机会跨国切磋学习，进一步提高创作水平。Let me now move on to our shared heritage. Since the launch of our SG Heritage Plan in 2018, we have made progress across its 4 pillars: our places, our cultures, our treasures, our communities. Our tangible heritage remains important markers of the Singapore story. NHB's 18 heritage trails help us to document and increase awareness of heritage of the places where we live, work and play. Last year, NHB launched Orchard Heritage Trail and refreshed the Bukit Timah Heritage Trail. In 2019, NHB and the Housing Development Board will be launching the Pasir Ris Heritage Trail as part of HDB's Remaking Our Heartland program. Public can look out for an open call for community contributions of stories. To promote awareness and appreciation of our 72 national monuments, NHB will introduce a new annual program, Milestones Through Monuments. It will highlight the roles of these monuments during significant episodes in our history and encourage the public to have meaningful experiences at our historic sites. The inaugural edition will be held in late 2019 and will feature a race with stops at national monuments along Singapore River. NHB will also continue working with MOE to enhance various education programs at our museums. For example, pilots of the Museum Educators Program were conducted at the Asian Civilizations Museum and National Museum of Singapore last year, which included the engagement of 20 retired educators and museum docents to support interactive learning experiences for over 2,100 primary and secondary school students from 9 schools. We are reviewing the pilots and refining the program. This year, the Singapore Bicentennial Office at NHB will offer a twin program for secondary school students as part of our bicentennial commemoration. It will run from May to August and provide students with the opportunity to visit the National Museum of Singapore and upcoming bicentennial experience at Fort Canning Centre. The content presented in both experiences will reinforce learning points about history and the Singapore story. Minister and SMS spoke about reaching underserved communities through our heritage institutions and programs like Heritage Cares. We will also be leveraging technology to transform the way we engage. For example, NHB will be implementing House of Memories, an app-based program that aims to improve the care experience for persons with dementia and their caregivers. The app will allow users to view objects from the national collection, reflect on their memories, remain connected with people around them, and affirm the sense of personhood. This will be piloted by Khoo Teck Puat Hospital later this year. Beyond our museums and heritage institutions, we also recognize the importance of community-led events in celebrating and safeguarding our heritage and traditions. Mr. Yee Chia Shing spoke on the success of the recent River Hompao, an event organized by the Chinese community since 1987. We have supported the event as part of the Chinese New Year celebrations, as well as Hari Raya and Deepavali light-ups in past years. This year's River Hompao was a successful commemoration of a bicentennial. Kudos to the organizing chair, Ms. Ang Wei Nen, and his team. We are heartened that community support for these cultural events has been strong, and we hope that such support will continue to grow. Finally, I will share on Vision 2030, or V2030, which was launched in 2012 as a national blueprint to help all Singaporeans live better through sports. Mr. Lee Yi Shan and Mr. Kwek asked for updates on V2030. In the past 7 years, recommendations have been progressively implemented in the form of Active SG, Team NILA, our Disability Sports Master Plan, and High Performance Sports System, just to name a few. Last year, we conducted over 60 stakeholder engagement and focus group sessions involving 1,500 people from various sectors. We will share the updated V2030 recommendations later this year. The major part of V2030 is about bringing Singaporeans from all walks of life together through sport. In 2016, we launched the Disability Sports Master Plan, which has to date seen the opening of 5 inclusive gyms by Active SG. Our annual Inclusive Sports Festival also saw a doubling in participants with disabilities last year. This year, Sport SG will expand Play Inclusive, Singapore's largest unified sports competition, which is organized by the Special Olympics Singapore and supported by MOE's Special Education Branch. The 2-day event will pair athletes from special education schools and adult disability centers with students from neighboring mainstream schools to form more inclusive teams. Altogether, Sport SG's programs have introduced sport ranging from swimming to wheelchair rugby to over 500 persons with disabilities over the last 3 years. Leonard Liu, a wheelchair user, is one of our program participants who is now leading a much more active lifestyle after joining the Yes I Can swimming program at Heartbeat at Bedok. He now makes weekly visits to the inclusive gym accompanied by his mother Natalie. He has built up strength and is walking more during his exercise sessions. As Leonard gets stronger, he's enjoying more sports activities such as canoeing and kayaking. Sport SG will continue its outreach efforts to raise awareness in the community and develop organizational and professional capabilities in disability sports. Currently, sports plans are underway to build the capabilities of teachers and staff at special education schools and disability centers in conducting sporting activities. They will work with sport coaches to co-create and tailor sport activities that meet the needs of the students. Ms. Ip Pin Siu asked if we can make sport more inclusive in Singapore by integrating our national sports associations, NSAs, to oversee able-bodied and disability sports. This has to be decided by the sports fraternities themselves and the NSAs, which are non-governmental organizations that operate firmly on the principle of independence. The International Olympic Committee and the International Paralympic Committee oversee the various national Olympic and Paralympic committees. These include the Singapore National Olympic Council, SNOC, and Singapore National Paralympic Council, SNPC, which in turn oversee the development and promotion of the Olympic and Paralympic movements in Singapore, as well as the selection of Team Singapore athletes for the major games. The NSAs not only have to align with the SNOC and SNPC, but also their respective international sports federations. They take reference from the parent bodies in how they organize themselves and are also accountable to them for the development of the sport in Singapore. In this regard, the NSAs play an important role in leading the fraternities in the development and promotion of the sports, as well as supporting the high performance development of the national athletes through coaching and competition opportunities. While respecting the NSAs are independent organizations, Sport SG partners them to develop the sports. For example, Sport SG provides eligible NSAs facilities, funding, and technical support to implement their multi-year sports plans, which address the development of top athletes and grow the sports participation base. It also works with NSAs to strengthen their organizational capabilities and governance standards. In addition, Sport SG provides all Singaporeans with opportunities to develop their sporting potential through programs such as Active SG academies and clubs. One encouraging example is Tan Wee Boon, who lost part of his limbs to an unfortunate bacterial infection in 2015. Like Leonard Liu, he started at our Yes I Can swim program in 2016, when we launched the first Centre of Expertise. So 2016, 3 years ago, is really already very different from Ms. Yip's experience in the 1990s. And it extends beyond swimming. So for Wee Boon, he has since gone on to try out a lot of different sports, including scuba diving under our Sports Cares programs. Through such opportunities and exposure, Wee Boon discovered his passion and talent for rugby, and since gone on to pursue competitive rugby as part of Singapore's first wheelchair rugby team. So when it comes to disability sports, some international sports federations integrate the development of able-bodied athletes and those with disabilities, while others prefer to do it separately. In Singapore, the NSAs for cycling, equestrian and sailing oversee the development of athletes of all abilities, with table tennis set to join their ranks. We will want to see more NSAs adopt an inclusive approach in developing our national athletes. We aim to achieve what is best for all athletes, regardless of ability. While integrating able-bodied and para-sports in a single NSA has its benefits, we understand there might be concerns from the disability sports fraternity that doing so may dilute attention on para-sports. For sports that are exclusive to athletes with disabilities such as goalball, Sport SG will continue to support the work of the Singapore Disability Sports Council, which partners the respective national disability sports associations to realize synergies in outreach and public education. Whether in able-bodied or disability sports, whether they are integrated in the same NSA or not, MCCY will continue to support our Team Singapore athletes. Their successes and Miss Ip's achievements provide Singaporeans occasions to come together as one nation and ignite our sense of optimism and can-do spirit. And this is what Mr. Lee has also spoken about. For many national athletes, the road to success has multiple entry points and pathways. It is crucial that we have a strong sports ecosystem to support them at every stage of their journey. Mr. Darryl David and Mr. E spoke about Team Singapore's preparations for the upcoming major games, the 30th SEA Games and 10th ASEAN Para Games this year in the Philippines, and the 32nd Olympic Games and 16th Paralympic Games in Japan next year. We continue to work with key stakeholders to ensure that our high-performance sports HPS system nurtures our athletes to greater heights and maximizes their potential. This is something which Mr. Lee also raised, and I agree that more can be done to help our national athletes achieve their best. In addition to the government's annual investment of $70 million, we will sharpen our HPS strategies and support to our athletes in their sporting pursuits. Sport SG will set aside $3 million this year to provide extended campaign support for up to 2 years for selected Team Singapore athletes preparing for the upcoming major games. This is 50% more than before, giving our athletes enhanced program support tailored to their training needs, which also covers the cost of overseas trainings and competitions for the athletes, which Engineer Dr. Lee Biwa had asked about. Athletes also enjoy a higher quantum of SPECS grants, such as SPECS Tech, which helps defray training equipment and other costs incurred by our national athletes, and the Sports Excellence Grant for loss of wages. One encouraging example is fencer Ahmad Huzaifa. As part of his preparations, he's receiving additional funding to defray his full-time training expenses, including equipment costs, as well as his participation in more overseas competitions and training stints. We hope that the enhanced campaign support will benefit Ahmad's long-term high-performance sports development, which will put him in good state for the upcoming SEA Games. Mr. E also asked how we are developing our HPS ecosystem to meet the challenges of the future. We are committed to supporting our athletes' personal development, helping them balance the demands of high-performance sports with education goals, and preparing them for smooth transition to a post-sport career. Under the SPECS education scheme, the Singapore Sports Institute SSI has partnered 13 institutes of higher learning to support student athletes with flexible academic arrangements, benefiting over 400 student athletes. Under the SPECS Business Network, SSI works with corporate partners to offer professional development opportunities with flexible work arrangements, as well as mentorship on starting a business. Since 2013, the network has grown from 7 to 61 companies, benefiting over 230 Team Singapore athletes. One example is Chelsea Ann Sim, a 3-time SEA Games medalist in Taekwondo. Through the SPECS Business Network, OSIM and Deloitte offered her internships in 2016 and 2018 respectively. Such opportunities enabled Chelsea to gain work experience while juggling with sporting goals. Chelsea graduated from Singapore Management University last year and is now working full-time with Deloitte as a clients and markets executive while concurrently training for the upcoming SEA Games. Mr. Faisal Manap spoke about the developments in local football. Football is a sport with mass appeal and potential to bring Singaporeans from different backgrounds together. Like many Singaporeans, we would like to see improvement in the standard of Singapore football and performance of our national teams. The revamped local professional league, the Singapore Premier League, SPL, is part of the Football Association of Singapore's FAS's efforts to improve local football, with emphasis on youth development as well as raising the coaching standards and professionalism of the football clubs. We have seen some improvements in the past year, such as stronger focus on player fitness resulting in higher standards of play. The exposure given to the under-23 players will also strengthen our major game squads and provide a stronger foundation to build the national team. For the 2019 SPL season, the matches will be consolidated at 4 active SG stadia, namely Bishan, Jalan Besar, Jurong East and Tampines. Sport SG has been progressively upgrading this stadia to improve spectator experience at football matches. Fans can look forward to LED scoreboards, electronic A-boards, improved sound systems and stronger club branding at these venues, while the SPL teams can look forward to better changing room facilities. The Singapore Sports School is also doing its part to develop a pool of young talents by following the FAS coaching syllabus for its football academy. Student footballers are also provided with overseas exposure through competitions and training exchanges. One example is national footballer Adam Swandi, who went to Japan for training stints during his time in the sports school. This contributed to his long-term development as a professional footballer. In 2018, Adam, who was previously with Albirex Niigata Singapore FC, played a key role in his team's SPL title win. I'm happy to hear that he was later named the SPL Young Player of the Year. He has since transferred to Home United FC in January to further his sporting career. For the wider community, Sport SG's Active SG Football Academy partners FAS to develop structured programs to provide opportunities for more young Singaporeans to develop football skills. We hope these will encourage and sustain mass participation in football, build a wider talent pool and foster a stronger football culture. While the impact of these efforts will not happen overnight, I'm encouraged by the uplift in our national team's performance in the past year, such as achievements in international matches like the ASEAN Football Federation Suzuki Cup. This year, Fandi will be leading the national under-22 team at the upcoming SEA Games. Meanwhile, FAS has just updated that you will be appointing the national coach for the senior team by June. The FAS leadership will also continue to and has to engage the club's stakeholders and fans and work closely with them on this journey to improve the state of Singapore football. In response to Mr. Manap's point, all our Team Singapore athletes cope with and strive within Singapore's unique ecosystem. It's not easy, but many of them have been able to balance their sporting pursuits with commitments, whether NS, education or career, and they have done well. Kudos to them. For FAS, it has a joint management committee with Sport SG to better integrate the strategies and plans of football. MCCY will continue to support FAS, our national team, to raise the standard of Singapore football. Mr. Chairman, building a strong nation requires us to recognize the diverse talents, gifts and dreams of each individual and to support one another to our best selves. Together, we can celebrate our collective achievements and be confident in our future. Thank you.